We're moving into standard 2 today, and for standard 2, we are going to still be simplifying, but our expressions are going to have more variables in them, and we're not going to be doing order of operations, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult in the simplifying. So there are two different things we're going to be able to simplify. We're going to be able to simplify using combining like terms and distributive property. If you can simplify one of these two ways, if you know how to combine like terms, or if you know how to use the distributive property, that puts you at a level 1. If you can do both, and not at the same time, but if you can do either one, you can do distributive property and combining like terms in their own separate problems. That would be a level 2. If I flip the page over to the back, it gives you examples of combining like terms problems or distributive property problems. And then to get to a level 2, you have to be able to do this problem and do that problem separately. Okay, so that's your level 1 and level 2. Today we're going to be doing page 14 as the homework. That's today's homework, 1 through 18. And actually we are just going to do the evens because we're going to run a little short on time. All right, let's get into it. First, we're going to fill out some vocabulary on page 13. So on page 13 here, we've got some terms, definitions, and examples. I like to start with the examples first. Slide this over here. So the example for my terms is I'm going to give you like multiple terms here. So we'll go 2x plus 7 minus 3x squared. Okay, that is 3 separate terms. So terms are parts of an equation separated by either a plus sign or a minus sign. Okay, so here's a plus sign right here. So this is my separator between these two terms. Here's my separator between these two terms. Notice I specifically did it in front of the minus sign because that minus sign is stuck together with the 3. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 terms. Coefficient of a term. So let's talk about the two terms that have coefficients. So this one has a coefficient, and this one has a coefficient. So the coefficient is going to be the number in front of, it's this one here, the number in front of the variable. So it's the number in front of the variable. And remember, if I'm going too fast at any time, just pause the video and you can rewind. Okay, let's talk about the other term. Okay, so if it's not a coefficient of a term, it could be a constant term. So this one right here, let's bring that one down, that plus 7 is constant. It's constant because it doesn't vary, because it doesn't have a variable. So a constant term is going to be a number without a variable. Like terms. So up here we have no like terms because this is an x, this has an x squared, and this has no x at all. So if I wanted my terms to be alike, you would have to have something like 2x and 4x. Those would be like terms. Another set of like terms, if I wanted to have something like with negative 3x squared, it would have to be something, I don't know, make up a number, 10, and it would have to be an x squared. That's what makes it a like term. What would be like with the number 7? So if I wanted the number 7 to have a like term, it would be another number that didn't have an x on it. So pick a number, negative 5. Those are like terms because neither one of them has an x. And finally, let's get real fancy. So let's do 3xy. Okay, pick a number in your head, your favorite number. Put that number down. I'm going to pick 11. It's not my favorite number, but I just picked it. 11 would be a like term with this one as long as it was 11xy. Okay, so the variable piece has to be the same on the term in order for it to be a like term. Okay, so they're terms with common parts, with their variable parts being in common. And when I say common, I mean they have to be the exact same. Okay, you can't have 2x and 4y. Those are not the same. Okay, and I'm going to be honest. Standard form is not something we need to know at this point, so we're going to save that for later. Okay, we're going to talk about the vocabulary words we just did, so you can look back up at these vocabulary definitions while we're doing this. Okay, so how many terms does this thing have? So we'll start with letter A. So again, remember, splitting it into, once you see a plus or a minus, cut right in front. That separates the terms. Okay, so how many different parts do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 like terms. So I have, or sorry, not like terms. I have just 4 terms. Now, which of those 4 terms would be considered like terms? So let's write those out. So pick one to start with. I don't care that we do anything about an order yet. So the first number I see is 5. So what would be a like term with 5? Since 5 has no x on it, give me another number that doesn't have x. There we go. Okay? So these two were like terms. Now what else do you have? Okay, I have a negative 2x. What goes with negative 2x? X. But I'm going to be specific here. I'm going to say a positive 1x. I'm going to put that 1 there. There is a 1 in front of that x, so you've got to put it. Okay? So then the coefficients here, the coefficients would be this negative 2 and the 1, because those are the numbers in front of x. And the constant terms would be these two numbers here that don't have x's on them. Those aren't quite as important as the first two. Okay, so I kind of went over those rather quickly. Okay, how many terms? So come here, I see a plus sign, I see a minus sign, plus sign, minus sign. So let's count the terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 terms. Okay, of those 5 terms, are there any that are alike? Okay, just start with the first one, a 5x squared. So is there any other x squareds? Yes, I have a positive 7x squared, so those go together. Okay, give me another one. Let's go to the next one, 5x. So I've got a 5x, and the 5x goes with, are there any other x's? Negative 2x. But wait a minute, there's another x. Where does that go? That can also be with the 5x and the negative 2x. It doesn't have to be just 2 like terms or 1 like term. It can be as many like terms as there are. Okay, now let's actually do a problem. where we actually combine. You can use your calculator, actually combine your like terms. You can separate the terms here. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to simplify it, take it from 5 terms down to like 3 terms, okay? All right, let's start with the first one, 27AB. Are there any other ABs? So what you're going to do in your calculator is you're going to take 27 and you're going to minus 12. Okay, and then we're going to write that answer. So 27 minus 12 is 15. So it's going to be 15, what? ABs. Okay, now let's go to the next one. So those two are done. Let's do this one. This one has an A. Okay, I'll write that over here. I have a 9A, a positive 9A. Any other A's? Ooh, right here there's an A. That's a negative 1A, so let's write that, negative 1A. Okay, so in your calculator, what you're going to be doing is you're going to take 9 minus 1. That's 8. Since that 8 is a positive 8, we need to put a plus in between there. Okay, now we haven't done all of the parts yet because there's still this 11a squared. It's in a positive 11a squared, but it doesn't have a buddy. So what do we do with it? Well, we don't leave it up there on its lonesome. Okay, we tell them, come down and join the party. So plus 11a squared, and it just comes down into the problem. And that would be our answer. Okay, let's try another one. Let's actually turn to page 14. And I don't remember 100% what I said, so I'll look back at here. We're doing evens or odds? We're doing evens. Okay, so I'm going to do the first problem, problem number 1, because that's not actually part of your homework, so you can just kind of see. All right, so we'll start with this number 5. Is that number 5? There's no letters on it. Are there any other ones like that? No. So that one's just going to come straight down to the problem. There's your answer, nothing else. Okay, then I have, again, you can separate these into their chunks if you want, if you need to. Then I've got a negative 6k and a positive 7k, that those need to go together. So in your calculator, you type negative 6 plus 7. And what you're going to see in your calculator is 1. So I'm going to write this 1 next to the k, but that's not necessary if it's a 1. And then you need to put a symbol here. Is that a positive 1 or is it a negative 1? Since it is a positive 1, I'll put a plus. And I'm done. All right, let's jump over to number 3. I'm going to put a 1 in front of this n because I just want to make sure that I know. All right, so we can split up our different terms here. Okay, I'm just going to go with this n. So we'll go 1n, and then is there any other n's? Yep, right here. Plus 9n. Okay, well 1 plus 9 is 10. And I don't have to put a plus in front here only because there's not anything else. Okay, now I'm going to do this part. I have a negative 10, so minus 10, and a minus 3. So when you type that into your calculator, type in negative 10 minus 3. Okay, and then whatever that says, we're going to write that down here. So that says a negative 13. And you're done. One more. Let's go down to this one. Again, split into your different terms. Okay, let's start with this one, 21RS. Are there any other RS's? No. So that comes straight down to your answer. Now this one here, I've got 1. You can put that 1 there to remind yourself you have 1. So we have 1R, and we have a minus 10R. So type that into your calculator, 1 minus 10. Don't put the R's in the calculator, just the 1 minus 10. 1 minus 10, that is negative 9R. Okay? No matter what happens, just practice. Keep practicing, and if you get it right, great. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to keep practicing. We're going to keep trying. We're going to figure out where we're struggling, and then we'll try again. Okay, so remember 1 through 18, but just the evens on this paper, and then we'll go through and do some of the odds tomorrow.